Welcome to the bonfire this morning. Really exciting bonfire guests this morning. I'd like to introduce you to Teun Vandenberg and Max van Hassel. Can you wave, please? The two of them are together in one screen in case you're wondering where they are, because we've got so many people on the screen. Maybe say hello.
Hello.
Fantastic. Goedemorgen, welkom dat jullie hier zijn. Wellicht dat er meer Nederlandse mensen vanmorgen hier zijn. There are potentially more Dutch people here, which is fantastic. Welcome everybody. And Teun and Max, fantastic that you guys are here. And just for everybody, not only do they have an impressive story to tell this morning or to share this morning, they also do this in English. So fantastic, and thank you guys for doing that. We also have special guests from Munich. Maybe wave as well if you can hear this.
Hello.
Ooh, I can hear a hello. Great, welcome people from Munich. Just for the other visitors, these people have been involved or are involved in Mini Munich, which is like a play city or Spielstadt in Germany. And it's a project where every 2 years for a few summer weeks, the city of Munich is taken over by children. You can hear more about this project on Thursday morning's cafe, but for now they are the guests of this morning's exciting bonfire. So we're going to talk about, or we're going to hear from Teun and Max about the Agora school, which is so unusual there. And I'm going to let their manager, Rob Ruben, do the talking in a film that was recorded earlier in English, so that makes it easier for everybody to understand. So Paul, do you want to share the screen with the video? We're going to watch a couple of fragments. We're going to start with a fragment first, an introduction fragment. And Teun and Max have selected this fragment with us to share, because otherwise it would be too long to play fully. So we're going to start the first fragment, and then there's room for questions. And then we're going to move to the second fragment and room for more questions. And that will be the format for this morning. So first fragment, Paul, hit it.
Hold it. Yeah. Well, it's a bit strange to start this with my daughter next to me jumping because she came out of school earlier than expected. So I have to attend to that for like 10 seconds and then I can start. Kan me door, of jullie allebei hier. Okay, well, I'm ready, guys. So you're already seeing my slides up. And what we need to do is, oh, my girl, really. Sorry. Well, the slide you are seeing is what I always show to all the people who visit us in Roermond. And I always tell them, forget what you know about teaching and start with what you really know about learning. And that's what I tell everybody who enters our building. Agora is a government-funded public secondary school, and at Agora we learn students to manage their own learning process. And we do this without courses, without classes, even without class timetables or age groups. We learn them to set and achieve their own goals and their own challenges. And when students start at Agora, we ask them, what do you want to make, do, or learn? And whatever the answer is, we go from there. We figure out the talents, interests, and ambitions of the students that way. And I'm going to tell you a story about how we stopped teaching and why we stopped teaching. And it's going to be a story about becoming a successful school based on inspiration and motivation. So first of all, at Agora, born in the Nikkei building you saw before, we believe that school has to be a good mix of Harvard University, that for us represents a place where you can access all the knowledge in the world. And that's easy because we all are connected to the internet. So accessing that knowledge is not a problem in our school. It also has to have a little bit of a Buddhist monastery, a place where you can feel at ease. And it also, of course, has to be a creative laboratory where you can make and create everything, from a go-kart, a robot, to a nice sweater or pants. And we called it Agora because that's old Greek for marketplace, a place where you can debate, interact, see new things, get inspired by others, and where you inspire others. And last but not least, it has to feel like Disneyland. There should be kind people around you who want to assist you in any way. And when you look around, you get this happy and amazed feeling. This is how our school looks from the inside. It's a place where all the people who work there trust in the fact that children want to learn. And if we doubt this fact, we sell them short. There aren't any children who don't want to learn. There are children who don't want to learn what you want to tell them. And that's your problem as a teacher, not theirs. This is how our classrooms look like because, well, we don't need any classrooms. We just have rooms where children make their own environment. Because at least at school should be a place where children can be happy, despite what's going on in the rest of their lives. It should be a place where we give them the basis to be confident, inspired, and challenged. A place where they feel at home. And that's what you see here. They even built their own desks.
Wow. How amazing is that? So I think we all have so many questions for Teun and Max. I've got the first one that potentially already answers some of your curiosity. So Teun, Max, what would a successful, sorry, that's the wrong question. Teun, Max, share what a typical day looks like at Agora.
Wil jij eerst? Is goed. Well, people make plannings here with their computers, and I think that's really important because you don't have to work a full day, but you need to know what you want to do that day. And like for some people that means they are going to build a desk, and for some people that means like making music in the studio at school. And I think that like with your coach, you're making that planning, and so that at the end of the day, you can feel like you've had a productive day and a success.
Yeah. So yes, we have 2 pauses, so that we can eat or drink, and we have a set time that we all are quiet and we read for a half an hour. So we read because it's very important. We also have multiple rooms like a studio where you can make your own music, the area where you can build. We have a laser cutter even, so you can make things like that. And yeah, you can just go all around the building and do whatever you want.
So every day is different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question, one from me and one from Joseph in the chat box? Can you explain what a coach is and what's the difference between a coach and a teacher? And also how many students would usually work in a group? I love it. Max is just gone. He's left you to it.
There are students knocking at the door.
Oh, students.
Yeah. Well, a group is mostly of, I think, like 15 people, not many more or less. And you have one coach, which is basically like a teacher, sort of, but it just makes sure that it guides you through your learning process. So most of the times, like in a week, you plan it yourself, 1 or 2 coach conversations. So with your coach, that's basically the role of a coach, just to have a little bit of control over the group so that, like, they won't die or anything.
That would be dreadful if somebody died.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want that.
We don't want that. Just one question before we jump back. Sorry, Hanneke.
That's okay.
How do you know what's happening across the whole school? This is from David. And how often do you set your own learning targets? Okay, so it's a bit like what's happening everywhere, and how do you set your own learning targets?
I'm sorry, can you ask your question again?
Are those students still banging on the door?
Yeah,
Wow.
they're like walking across here.
What?
Well, what's happening? We have like big TV screens where we can show presentations on, and some people before, because we reserved this room, and they got to grab all the stuff because they needed to hurry. Because
I'm so sorry.
Why we wanted to do this is because we want to know what happens in your school, and so what we are learning from is both what you're saying, but also what we're hearing around you. And it actually is quite a useful question. So this question is, how do you know what's happening around you, what's happening in the rest of the school? So the idea of booking rooms, like even that, who books a room?
Well, you have like we have the school side, and you can like reserve rooms in there.
mm-hmm.
So that's like basically how you know which room is already used at the time. And I think in every coaching group,
Mm-hmm.
they have like some kind of list where you write where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So that like if your coach needs to find you because of whatever, they can find it on there.
Or you can just simply tell them.
Yeah.
Because well, we have the big rooms. They are for teaching, coaching, and where we all are. Each have different rooms, and currently they are divided in teams. The rooms, and then we have the separate rooms where we can show our presentations in, and we are currently in one of those rooms.
Amazing. So people do keep them coming, the questions in the chat box. We'll try and address them as much as we can, but we also want to move on to the second fragment because it will reveal more of the ethos and way of learning at Agora. So this is the second fragment. While we're waiting for Paul, this is really an interesting, challenging bonfire with the technical challenges.
Well,
there we go.
This is my daughter, and this is I've made this video a couple of years ago, and a couple of days before we could shoot this video, my daughter couldn't ride a bike at all. She had a tricycle with the pedals on the front wheel connected. And she wasn't able to get that tricycle to move. Too much friction, I guess, too less muscles. I don't know what the problem was, but a combination of those two, I guess. And then a friend of ours brought this bike. And my daughter immediately said, "Daddy, I want to learn to ride that bike." And I said, "Well, it's too big and you can't even move the tricycle." And my daughter said, "I don't care, I want to ride that bike. Then you make it smaller." And I was able to put the seat down and get her on it, and just started running. And you know how it is, you take them by the neck and run around the street, and after 15 minutes they cry, so you can quit and go at home. But the day after that, she came up to me again, and she said, "Daddy, we should try to ride the bike again." And well, then you run for like 20 minutes, and they cry again, so you can go home again. And the day after that, she didn't ask anything, so I thought, well, this was like a phase. But on the fourth day, she asked me again. And I could shoot that video that day because within 2 minutes, she said, "Well, Daddy, just let me go." And I've did that. And I'm not telling you this story because I'm a proud father. That, of course, I am a proud story, but that's not the clue in this story. The clue in this story is that immediately after I shot this video, one of my neighbors came up to me and said, "Rob, what is her age?" And I said, "Well, she's 2 and 9 months. And my neighbor said, well, he didn't say anything. My neighbor said didn't say anything. He just went home, grabbed his 5-year-old son, grabbed the bike of his 5-year-old son, put him on it, and started running. And in the evening, he rang my doorbell, and he said to me, for how many hours did you do this?" And I said, "Well, like 15 minutes a day." And he said, 15 minutes a day, okay, I know enough. And he went home. And I saw him every evening, the next 3 weeks, running with his child. And after 3 weeks, do you know what the end result was? Well, you can't respond, so I'm going to tell you immediately. The end result was that his son hated biking. If that stupid dad would have waited up until summer, because then we have like 20 kids riding their bikes up and down the street, there would be that moment that his son would think, well, I love to join them. And there would be that moment that his son would come up to him and would ask him, Daddy, please learn me how to ride the bike. But Daddy didn't wait for that. Daddy compared his son with my girl. And he concluded that his son was behind in his learning curve. So his son had to ride that bike now. And that's the stupidest decision he could ever make, because it took him far more effort. They got into fights and stuff. And I can tell you, every kid in the Netherlands wants to learn to ride the bike before age 8. They will come up to you, they will ask you. And I think that's the same thing with learning, with all things we learn. Learning isn't about starting together at the same moment. It's about knowing something in the end. So we as schools should stop comparing children when they start. We should give them the opportunity to start whenever they want to. Because they want to have the same end result at the end. There's a
Welcome back. Thanks, Paul. Oh, yes, thanks, Paul. Welcome back. So some great questions coming through in the chat box. I was going to ask one question first, and then I'll take some of the other questions as well. So, Max, what would a successful learner look like in your school?
Well, it's that you don't get distracted easily, because there's a lot of room for you to just click on a YouTube video or game the whole day, and you won't learn anything from that. So if you can focus really good on the learning process, that's a skill that you can use very good.
Mm-hmm. But that's not something that everybody has. So there are people here that are in their 3rd year and still can do it, but they want to reach that goal. And so they're trying to learn it, because if you get that skill right, you can use it for the rest of your life. So as long, I think, as you're motivated to have personal growth and know what you want, and you are doing that, I think you're a great student here, because you can learn there are so many opportunities.
Yeah, because I know multiple stories. One of my friends, he just watched the YouTube or anime the whole day, and end result was he got disbanded of the school. And another friend of mine, he only gamed the whole day, and now he's at the other part, Nikkei, and it's not as freely as Agora. So
because I think they spoke about it, and they were like, well, maybe this school right now isn't for you. And don't get me wrong, I think Agora is great, but it needs to fit with you. I think not everybody can suddenly go to Agora. I think that's something that needs to grow over time.
Yeah, because at this point it's just a trust system, and you can easily screw it up.
Can you tell us a wee bit?
Yeah,
Sorry,
you go, Paul.
I was just going to say, can you tell us a wee bit more about that trust system? What does that look like? There's some questions as well in the box about challenging experiences, and how do you know you're being challenged? Whose responsibility is that? Can you sort of talk about that a bit, please?
Well, of the trust system, it's currently you need to do. It's just like a recipe you have in front of you. You need to do these things to be functional. Or yeah, it sounds a bit weird, but you need to make a planning, so you know what you need to do, or just have it strictly, because else you can control yourself. So
I think the trust system is mostly with your coach. It's you learn when you say something, you will do it, and if you can't do it, you tell them. And if that trust is broken, like, yeah, you're gonna like speak about that with your coach because you broke it.
Susanna's asking, could you give an example of that? Like, what would a challenging experience that you have had over the past sort of 6 months here, what would that look like for you guys?
Well, a challenge is based off something you like. So I like cooking. I want to maybe be a chef in the future. So my first challenge alone was making a recipe and then making the food. So it's more like, what do you like, or what you are interested in or want to learn more about?
Yeah. I think the question has got a second question within the question. Like a challenge can also be that you encounter or face a situation that is difficult or you hadn't expected. How do you go about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that's something that you need to learn here too. This sounds really basic, but for me personally, it's just really talking with my coach and like being like, I want this, but I don't have the skills yet. Like, how do I get there? And sometimes like hit my head at the wall like super hard and be like, I did not do this right, but next time.
Yeah, because I saw a question flying by over the trust system. Like, it's your own responsibility that you actually work. So it's more like, if you don't, I'm currently searching the word, sorry. It's more, you need to, like, give me a moment.
That's okay. Teun, if je want to, als je naar een Nederlands woord zoekt, moet je even laten weten. Kan ik helpen met vertalen?
Nee, ik ben gewoon even aan het zoeken.
Engels? Okay. It will come back to you, I'm sure. We can move on to one or two other questions. I'm just looking at the question because we're also going to see more questions answered in the next fragment. So I don't want to spoil the surprise. Somebody asked, are there more schools? Is it just one school in the Netherlands?
Now, there's in Belgium, multiple around the Netherlands. I don't know them all. But one I know is in Nijmegen. Then we have one in Roermond, in Amsterdam. Mogen we praten over dat er nieuw komt in Venray?
Yeah, like they're creating new schools, like I think through the whole Netherlands and Belgium.
Yeah.
So like they're busy with that, and like also with children of the Agora schools, and like working together with us, and that's great.
Great. So sorry, Paul, just to follow up on that question, when did Agora started and have children already graduated?
Can you repeat that?
Sorry. So when did Agora school started in Netherlands and have people already gone through the whole system and have graduated? Have they finished school already?
Well, last year, all people were, everybody graduated. Because of the Corona crisis, we could
opportunities
that we didn't have before, so they can learn more. So they all graduated.
Like there are, I think, like 2 years or 3 that have graduated, and I don't know when it started, like the exactly date.
All right. I think it's maybe good to go to the next fragment, Paul.
Yes.
Starts with a very funny picture.
About my family, these kids aren't mine, but I just love the picture. And I love this picture because they all have this sponge in front of them. And a sponge is a natural product. And all these kids have, and we all have, a sponge that works in the same way. And I will explain that a little bit later, because what I love about that natural product, that sponge, is that you don't have to force water into a sponge. You just drop it into water, pick the sponge up, and it will be wet, and you can take it with you. And our brain, and it's about the same size here with these kids, their brain is the same size as a sponge. And I'll see the brain as a sponge as well. And you don't have to force knowledge in there. That's not working. You have to put the brain in the circumstances, in the right circumstances, so the brain sucks up knowledge. So for example, if I want to learn Spanish and I would approach an Agora coach to assist me, and I would tell them that they have to buy me a Spanish school book so I can learn Spanish. If this coach knows me properly, they would laugh. They would just start laughing and ask me, Rob, what are you going to do with the book? The previous book we've bought you, you hated it, and after a week you threw it into a corner. So why are you using this Spanish book? You should figure out a route a way to learn Spanish in a way that suits you better. So I would think about it for a couple of days, and then I would tell them, well, I found a buddy of mine who also wants to learn Spanish. And he also loves Belgian beers, just like me. So what we are going to do, what our plan is to learn Spanish, is that we're going to meet every Tuesday evening. And I introduce a Belgian beer in Spanish to him next Tuesday. And he will do the opposite in the week after that. And I also put the beer on paper with Spanish sentences and a Spanish description. And what we get now are two very important things for me to learn Spanish. First of all, if I don't bring anything with me next Tuesday, I leave my body, I let my body down. So I don't want to do that because I'm a social person. Second, I am highly motivated because we are not talking about Spanish. We are talking about beers. And I love Belgian beers, and I love to discover new ones. And because we are talking about beers and are obligated to only use Spanish words and look them up and stuff like that, we will get better at Spanish. I suppose we'll be in a nice Spanish restaurant within half a year, hopefully, after the Corona crisis. We will be in Barcelona to study Spanish and talk Spanish to the waiter there. So what we need to learn children is to place their sponge in the right circumstances. That's the most important thing schools have to do, because these kids are going to live 100 years. And about 80 years of this, they are going to live without being able to attend school. So we have to give them all the tools to keep on learning the rest of their lives. And you don't have to force knowledge in there to make this happen.
Great. Fantastic. So instead of us asking questions, we would like to ask the people from Munich to ask a question. If you've got one. Don't want to put you on the spot, sorry. Anybody from Munich?
Hiya.
Hello.
Oh, hi. You must introduce
yeah,
yourself
thanks.
first, sorry.
No, that's cool. Thanks for giving us the opportunity. Yeah, we have a couple of questions. Do you want to start with yours? Oh, okay. The two questions we were just debating was one, I suppose they're related. And I read something like it in the chat as well. So what's the sort of social structure around it? I was wondering, is there sort of a regular assembly? Do people meet? And how do you, someone mentioned Sudbury Valley School here. So is there a process of coming to sort of agreements collectively, rules, anything like that? How is that sort of aspect of school life organized?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the rules are just nearly as normal. I don't know if there are any other, or I just live with them. But that's only like what I can answer about rules or agreements. But I saw him flying by about coaches. We normally meet one by one at one with the coaches. But if we have a challenge with multiple people and from the same coach, we meet with the same coach or with multiple coaches, we all come together.
And I think like with rules and stuff, it's a little bit like we treat everybody respectfully,
and equally.
unequally. And like, so the rules are not the same for everybody. I think like some basic rules, like treat each other with respect and that stuff, like I think every school has that.
Yeah.
I hope so. But like there are not like rules for everybody, like you have to do math like at 3 a.m. 3 p.m. or something like that.
Or well, an agreement that we came up with is like well, after the big pause that we can all eat our food, then we have a half an hour, what I mentioned earlier, that we all just read books.
Yeah, I think that's the like one of the only like rules.
Yeah.
With the breaks, like you need to have a break. That's also a thing.
Or like if something comes in the way, like you need to exercise, and that's while you have a pause or the time is, you can place at the other time, and like you can connect them both and have 45 minutes of a pause instead of one time quarter and the other time half an hour.
And something like that I need to say is like you do have school exams here, like you need to have them. That's also a rule. And the second half of your school journey, like you start learning for them. So you do have meetings with like experts. That's sort of rules.
Yeah, because after learning year 3, we go more in depth with things. So we have more exams and more of the old school type. So because if you're like struggling with something, like I did with Dutch, for example, I came together with an expert and we got together, and yeah, I can speak, I can do my task properly.
Okay, great. Back to Munich, back to headquarters in Munich. Oh.
Yeah. So is there a sort of schedule each day? I mean, when you come into school, do you just sort of decide what you want to do for yourself, or do you learn? Sometimes will you do stuff in groups, for example? I mean, or for these exams as well? I mean, is that something where you get together with other people who have to do them, or is it mainly just really sort of that you chart your own course and you very much sort of organize your day around what you have to do or want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have our plannings as normal, but what we are doing differently this year is we have flexible times. So you like can come in at 10 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. Or you can go to school at 8 a.m. and end at 2 p.m. Because normally we're from 9 to 3 p.m. So that's.
And then what? And do you is there time to hang out together or do things together? Next to the individual learning journey, are there things that you do as a group or smaller groups?
Yeah, you do. Like you can. Sometimes people would like to like hang out or something, and they would like go to a room, and like you can just hang out or you can do something together, like for a challenge example. And sometimes like you have your everyday moment with your group. Mm-hmm. That's so like you do things together, but you also do a lot individually.
Because like it's not like you can go to a different room whenever you want. You need to tell your coach, and you need to ask the coach in the room if it's okay to go there. You need to have like if you're just going to work together, that's fine, as long as you say to the coaches. But if you like to come hang out, it's not really like a great help. sorry, you don't have a great rule. No.
Wat is het Nederlandse woord?
Ik kwam er net even op, alleen ik ben het weer vergeten.
That's okay. We can. Sorry?
Good answer. So you can go there, but it's not like you can go there whenever you want.
And can I just ask one more thing? I was really interested to hear Rob say that you don't have sort of fixed age groups. So is there much mixing between sort of students from different ages? Do you sometimes, I mean, will you do stuff together, or will sometimes maybe one student teach something to another, or a younger
Yeah, you do. It's like in the groups, they're like all ages are mixed together. And like it's not weird here, like if you're 16 to talk to a person that's 12, like it's totally not weird. And I have friends like who are older than me, and I think that's a really great thing. So like if you're struggling with math and somebody who's doing their exams in math this year, like maybe they can help you. You can just ask them.
Because the year before this, there were 4 years, and there were Community 1 and Community 2. So until learn year 3, you were in Community 1. And if you were in Community 2, you have like all the old people, so like from year 4 to 5. But now it's disbanded and everyone's mixed.
That sounds great. Munich, sorry, sorry to say Munich. Are there any more questions from the German side?
No, thank you.
Okay, we've got one more fragment, and I think this will answer some of the questions in the chat box as well. It relates to the monitoring of development of the journey at Agora. So Paul, do you want to start that last fragment?
He just as walked away. Oh, he's back.
Oh, is he back? Paul, I'm not sure whether you heard my question there.
Yeah, no, I did. I wrote all the times down in a post-it note, and then I thought we weren't going to show any videos anymore, so I threw the post-it note and I tossed it to the other side of the room. I was desperately going to go and find it, and then when over there, it was a pile of post-it notes that size. So I'm going to set it up at Hanukkah. You might need to tell me what time we're going for.
21:58.
21:58, beautiful.
Woo.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so we're going to put the film at the festival field in the lookout tower, so you can see it fully. It's 26 minutes. There's so much information in there, and we couldn't show it all, and we obviously wanted to hear from Teun and Max about the experience. So if you want to watch the full film, we're going to upload it later today.
Also want to put all their data and info. They wanted to put it somewhere in a system. So we needed a digital learning environment that supported us, and we couldn't find that system. So then Raphael, Baruch, and Ruben, a couple of students of ours, came up to me. They were like 13 and 14 years old then, and they said, "Well, it's great, all these personal challenges, but we want to make a difference for other people. We want to do something meaningful." And I asked them, "What do you want to learn?" And Raphael replied, "I want to be a programmer." And Ruben said, "I want to do Agile Scrum Mastering, because then I can become a good manager of a company." And Baruch said, "I wanted to be a graphics designer." So I told them, "You should make our digital learning environment." And that's what they did. And it looks like this. So here you can see the phases of a challenge. It starts with promotion, with the preparation. Kids should write down why they really want to figure something out or make something. And then they go into this execution phase where they log what they are doing and what they found out. And at the end, they do a footprint phase in which they make a video or a sculpture or a website or whatever reflects their product. And then at the end, we do also a reflection phase. So kids can even divide their challenge into 3 smaller parts and make a Kanban board out of this. And all these challenges go into one big list. And all these blue squares are challenges of one kid. So here, if you look closely at the left, you can see this kid is really into psychology because of all the challenges she did in there. And then they said, well, we also have to establish something where you can measure growth. So they made something for that as well. They made a software for that as well. And 2 years later, I'm just jealous because they made a company out of it. And this is their spread of innovation. So they're selling their product in these countries. And this is the spread of Agora at the moment with schools. If you don't see it, we'll address it a little bit. We are only in Belgium and in the Netherlands. So what we do at Agora is we, with a lot of respect, treat all our students unequal, not equal, unequal, because everybody deserves that. We train students to embrace the fact that the future is uncertain. We train them to take a firm look at it, be amazed and confident about it, so that they can grow for life. And we train them so they know that learning is a social activity, networking is a two-way street. We want them to become the social networkers of the future. So people, please, starting today, forget what you know about teaching and how schools are organized. Start with what you really know about learning. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Who's got questions after hearing about this, how they assess themselves and together? Looking at the chat box, and also ask Munich directly if you have questions related to this. I know you've got great experiences with your mini Munich Spielstadt or City of Play in the summer in Munich. Does anything like this relate to what you guys are doing?
I think what really does relate is this aspect mentioned at the end there, social learning, because what we do is essentially we just play a huge game with thousands of children and adults, and all the learning that takes place there is part of some social arrangement or sort of setting, if you will. So that's something I was interested to hear. Also, we have an interesting parallel because this year, due to the pandemic, we also had to develop a sort of digital, not learning environment, but sort of platform to organize the game on, to coordinate different places. And that was built by a group of young players who had sort of outgrown the game, but who then have now, sort of learned programming through this project, and we're blown away by that. So yeah, some interesting parallels, and yeah, it'd be great to visit the school, see what it's like in action.
Yeah, well, let us know. Obviously, stay in touch, and we can make that connection between the two organizations. Absolutely. Are there more questions about the developments that we just showed and how the students designed that themselves?
Hanneke, sorry for jumping in. I'm just aware of time.
Oh, got you.
So, and I just want to make sure Tan and Max have sort of got the opportunity, if there's anything that we've missed, anything that we haven't asked or said, is there anything that you guys just want to share? We've only got like a couple of minutes left.
I don't have anything to tell.
Well, like, I think not all our answers are perfect, but like, I don't know if Rob agrees with this, but I would really like if people have questions, just like ask us, really just make contact. And I would personally be very up to like explaining more.
Yeah, just to reiterate that, I spoke with Tony Max before this, and they told me that they've got a communication team, and they welcome any questions. So I'm trying to, can you go into the chat box, guys, and put the email address down so people can reach out to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm typing mine.
Okay.
We will give you our personal things.
Or maybe just a communication team email.
I'm searching that one now.
Okay, while you're doing that, from us, as I said, we're going to put the whole film in the lookout tower this afternoon, so bear with us, it's not up yet, but so you can see the whole film, and you just watched fragments of that earlier. Additionally, if you have any ideas or comments about this type of learning, please go and visit the playground at the festival field and you can post ideas there. And for now, there it is. Woohoo! There's the email address for Agora. Well done, guys. That was a good challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It has been really fun though.
Good. I'm pleased you liked it. I'm so pleased that you guys are here, and I'm sure, I mean, there's so much to share and so much to learn from you guys. So people can get in touch with you directly. The email address is there. Thank you so much for coming.